Sisters, so we continue this journey for Lent. So today we want to continue this theme of self-knowledge, which is so fundamental in the spiritual life. If we're not aware of the areas of our life and our heart that are in need of repair, the areas of our life that creates discord not only in our soul, but with our relationship with God, with others around us, even our immediate environment. If we're not aware of the areas that are out of harmony and sync with the most holy Trinity, with the Lord, then we're going to live in sort of the shadow land, the shadow areas of life, and therefore we will snuff out, the light of Christ and those more heavenly lights coming from heaven. There's no way on earth that we could find joy and peace. It comes from above. It's not something we could buy in a supermarket. It's not something we could buy in our retail outlets. It is something that comes from above and from above within, from the depths of our soul, coming up from the very life of God. And this Lent hopefully is just to give us a bit of tools to reflect on, to meditate on, to navigate the terrain, to find the well at which we can draw forth the waters, trees of Abla, say the waters of prayer, draw forth the grace and the life, so that we could be transformed. Now, one of the things about humility is that it is associated with truth, and we spoke about that in the last two videos. So humbling myself in truth that I need God is just recognizing the truth about that, recognizing my failures, not an overflation of self. But humility has a very positive aspect, and Teresa of Avila is very quick to point that out to us. She says that, when you should be aware in truth of the graces and the favors that God is giving you, whether it's in the type of prayer that you have started to experience. So, if you are starting to experience a prayer of quiet where you're just drawn into silence, you don't feel to say anything, you're just called to sit in silence before the presence of the Lord, enjoying his presence, loving the Lord, enjoying his gaze of love in that. And if you just felt to be quiet yourself in that place, even if there are distractions above, but in the depths of your soul, you just go to that quiet place of prayer and resting. That is a profound grace. And she says, you should give thanks to God. So the idea of humility leads to gratitude. So gratitude is a great sign of the spiritual life. It's a litmus test to know if we are really, if the Spirit of God has seized us and we're living according to the Spirit of God. It is gratitude. If we're complaining and we're moaning and we're like the Egyptians in the desert, after all the wonders the Lord has done, in the face of some kind of trials and tribulations, they start moaning and complaining and giving out. Rather than going back to that memory of what God has done and knowing God for really who he is, that he's gracious, that he's with us, and perhaps he's doing a much deeper work in our life than we could ever understand. And so that's where the place of humility will bring us. Humility will bring us to be grateful and to thank God and say, well, Lord, even thank you for this trial, however terrible it is, that even if it is some clear evil, you say you're not thanking God for the evil, but you're thanking God for what he's going to bring out of the evil. So you're ready stand in a place of firm affirmation and gratitude for what God is going to do, according to not presumption, but according to his promises, his word, his faithfulness. And so even if that may not be, you have a clear picture of what that's going to look like, but you can simply say, Lord, I'm grateful for what you're going to do. I know you're going to do something and I trust you. Help me to stretch my mind. Bend, as the psalm says, bend my heart to do your will, O God. Bend my mind. Help me to see what you're doing here. So gratitude and humility, it goes towards recognizing the truth, the gifts that God has given you. And it's okay to recognize, yes, I've reached this stage with the Lord in the interior life, not out of pride, but to realize his gift of where he's brought you and to celebrate that. So we have to celebrate our gifts and our favors and the divine visitations and the divine providences that surround us in so many ways. And share that with a close friend, This is what God has done for me today. Speak as if God is real and is in the room, is in your life. God did this. We have to speak like this to our children, not in a overbearing kind of way, but in a joyful way that show them how much God is involved in our life. And I met somebody recently, and said that, all their children are grown up and practice faith. And she said, look, I was never bothered on them in a kind of a grim way, but I just showed them all the times, look what God did for you, and just pointed out very gently and with love and kindness where the Lord has worked. So I leave that charge with you. Today make an inventory of the good things God has done in your life, even in the past and now. The many ways God has protected you and your family in so many ways, and ourselves from many dangers or many graces. Even the trials that came and the good that you could see in hindsight that has come out of it. So celebrate your gifts. And that is, to be humble is to celebrate your gifts. Not in an arrogant, cocky way, but recognizing they come from God and leads you to praise. Lord, thank you for the wonder of my being. Thank you for life. Thank you for that I could be alive to know you, Jesus Christ. See, that's it. Thank you for being alive to know you, Jesus. Because you love me so much, and that our faith is not fiction, it is real. Thank you, Lord.